Welcome back. We are going to start our course with talking about customer service in general, with a few specifics as related to healthcare. So, your first week's assignment after doing your basic introduction stuff has to do with reading of this little book. All right. And so I've told you in your thing, these do not come with page numbers, but just for ease and understanding as we move forward, I have gone through and I have numbered my pages. So if you open your book and you find this page that says customer service, I have that as page 1. So from now forward, as we read the book, I may tell you, looking ahead, turn to page 26. Okay, read or do the assignments on page 26. So that's kind of sort of what how this is going to operate, and that'll make it a whole lot easier. And I might even start referring to this to as the little book, the little blue book, something like that. So if you see something in writing in Blackboard about, get your little book or your paper, whatever, you'll know what it is that I'm talking about. We can go ahead and get that out of the way, and it can kind of simplify things. All right. So one of the things how I'm going to do this book, and I mentioned it earlier, is a great little book. I ordered it, actually found it on Amazon, and loved it so much after I read it that I chose for you to get the book. I think it's like a $10 book. It's not very expensive. So I want you to write in it. Okay. I don't know if you're a writer. As I came through college, I learned that if I wrote, I highlighted, I underlined, I learned more. And then I can open my book and I can read like what I have highlighted, and it brings back to memory. And anytime you're bringing something back to your mind that you've read or that you've heard, it actually helps that information to move from your short-term memory into your long-term memory, which is what learning, true learning, not memorization, is all about. And so that is very important. And I don't know whether you can see it or not, but I have highlighted the mess out of this book. You know why? Because so much in it is so good. And the great thing about little books like this also is that everything is concise. It takes out all the extras that sometimes textbooks tend to include, to make it thicker or whatever. So what I would like to do is I want you to read. So the first thing you are asked to do is to read on customer service. And that is actually the first 10 pages of this book, again, with customer service being page 1 and numbering from there. All right, so first of all, I want to start by just talking about customer service in general. I hear a lot about this in a lot of different avenues. But one of the things that kind of got me thinking about this was, in customer service, people talk about different things. We used to have something, a professionalism class, and customer service was always part of it. So if you think about maybe somewhere that you have gone, I mean, we're all customers of something or somebody. You go to Walmart, okay? Me, short, may not have met me in person. I'm 5'1", very short. I can't reach something on the top. And if I see somebody that's an employee, I'm going to ask them to help me get something off of the top shelf. Sometimes I am met with an eye roll. Sometimes I get a smile, but there's always the thing about customer service. So anyway, excuse me, think about a place, a restaurant, a store. Maybe you recently bought a car. Oh my goodness, you went downtown because you needed some help with your electrical stuff, or the phone company, US Cellular, Verizon, T-Mobile, Bath and Body Works, Belk. It doesn't matter. Wherever it is you've been, I guarantee you, whether or not you even realize it, you have thoughts about the customer service that you received while you were there. Okay, I was out of town. My husband and I were on vacation last week, and we walked up to a place. We were just walking around the little downtown area, and we had cups with us, had water in them. And we just took them up to this little open area where they were playing live music, and we walked up. Didn't really know what was going on, and we just happened to walk. I mean, it was an outside event. We didn't even have to go inside, and we stepped on the property and sat down. We didn't even get a chance to sit down in the little outdoor chairs. And this guy comes running up to us, and he said, "Whatever it is you've got in those cups, you can either pour it out or you can get off my property." I was completely floored. I had no idea. So we were like, my husband and I were like, okay, no worries. We took our cups and we walked away. The reason why we went up there, because the place looked very inviting. These outdoor seating underneath a tree in the evening, some live music was being played, and they were, selling drinks, and that's the reason why he got so upset, because he didn't want anybody taking away his profits. I get that. That's part of business. I understand. But of all the ways that he could have dealt with us and handled that, that was probably, in my mind, that was the most horrible. So we gathered our things and we left. That happens to be an area that we like to frequent. I can promise you, I will not step foot on that man's property again. I won't. That was awful customer service. And I had zero expectations when I went up there. And I just felt like I got slammed. Restaurants, I've been to restaurants where, you take a sip and they fill your cup. The food comes out immediately. You get greeted with a smile, small talk, and it's wonderful. And then you go some places and it's just not. That's what I'm talking about, customer service. And again, sometimes customer service, you could be at the best place in the world, that little outdoor area. Oh my goodness, it was so inviting. It was so nice. We wanted to be there. But then we didn't. And we won't. So just kind of think about those things. Well, when you take that and you put that into the healthcare perspective, okay, you were dealing with people. Again, my husband and I, we were happy. We were on vacation. We were in our happy place, and we were walking around. Summertime. I wasn't working. Everything was wonderful. The best place. But that fellow said two sentences, and we were done. And you see how small, and it could be he was having a horrible day. I don't know that. I just know what his behavior, the effect that it had on me and my husband. So it doesn't matter how good something is sometimes, but it's the personal touch that makes the difference. As someone that is going into healthcare, okay, whether it's billing and coding, sitting in the back, whether it is doing coding from home, okay, you're still going to have customers that you're going to be working with. We'll talk about that more in a little while. But if you're working in an office and you're a receptionist, okay, and you're doing all of the demographic information, you're putting in insurance information, jobs, all that kind of stuff, if you're having a bad day and that comes across, they're not having a good day either, okay? They more likely they don't want to be where you are. They don't want to be standing in the position that they are. And so you have to go the extra mile to make sure that you make them feel welcome, that they feel that you have compassion for their situation. So that's the kind of customer service that we're talking about. Now, as I go through this lecture part of this, I want you to grab your book, okay? Because what I'm doing is I've read it and I have highlighted and even underlined and starred some things in here. And I want to go over these things with you, okay? So I hope you will read it in advance and you will do some of your own note-taking on that. But what I'm going to do now is to kind of go through what this is talking about. So I'm actually on page 1, and it says, why this and why now? So I know personally, and I do listen to all this healthcare information, Obamacare, whether to keep it, whether to revoke it. Everybody's talking about healthcare costs. Everybody's talking about how do we do to streamline, how do we get better care for less money, all those types of things. Well, and that can be a lot, okay? And I get all of that. So what they want to do is cut costs. Did you know? I don't know if you know this or not, and you'll know this probably when you get to coding. You get charged for the amount of time that you spend with a provider. If you spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes with a provider, you get charged a certain amount. But if you are going for a physical, that means that you're going to be there longer, and guess what? The cost is more. So they actually have, I don't know if you know this or not, doctors, physicians, whatever, have quota where they are supposed to see a certain number of patients per day to make it worth the while for the company to make money. Isn't that crazy? So if I really need to have an in-depth conversation with my physician about something that's going on, the clock is ticking. Yuck. That's terrible. Okay, so anyway, so when we start talking about all of that, we're like, now wait a minute. Okay, well, that kind of really does lose the personal touch of what it is that they're there to do. So anyway, so oftentimes, you know, I think of, and I'm talking about it here in Washington and maybe even in Greenville. I mean, I look at Greenville, and Greenville is like, there are doctors everywhere. You've got the Brody School of Medicine. You've got all of the ECU. You did have the Vidant going on, which that's a whole nother issue that we'll talk about as well. But you have to kind of look at the only thing that really separates sometimes one place, one practice from another practice is customer service. You know, if all of the playing fields are level, like if you go, like ECU Health is like all over the place. So you would expect that all urgent cares would have the same technology, equipment, capable practitioners, all the rest of it. So what is it that's going to set one apart from another? And again, that's going to be customer service. All right, so what we want to look at first and foremost is who are your customers? Okay, so it's like I am talking to you as a healthcare, and I'm going to say provider, but you might not be on the clinical side of things, which you're not. If you're in medical office administration, you're not on the clinical side of things. You're on the office side. But guess what? You have customers too, even if you never touch a patient. Okay, you have customers as well. So, but we want to know who those are. All right. So there are, it says in your book, 5 types of customers that will depend on you and your colleagues to deliver high quality service. Okay, let's talk about who they are. The first one is the obvious. It's going to be the patient. Okay, the patient is the person, let's say you're the receptionist that comes in, they are letting you know that they have an appointment, who they're going to see. Well, just think about some of the feelings that are going through their mind at this time. Okay, they might be anxious. They don't feel good. Who goes to the doctor when you feel good? Maybe unless you've got a physical and everything's fine and you're just having a physical, but still I don't want to be there even if I feel fine. But most people don't, okay? Okay, you got to keep that in mind. So that patient, first and foremost, is your customer. But you also have to think about different healthcare facilities, okay? So for example, it talks about, it might be an inpatient, okay? Like the Surgery Center, you go in, you have an outpatient procedure performed, you go put you under, do the procedure, you go through recovery, and then they send you home. All right, there's a lots of people that you're going to deal with in that particular situation, or it could be that it could be a nursing home, okay, or a rehab facility. It could be a mental health facility. All of these facilities that we're talking about, a hospital, it just could be an urgent care type situation. But that patient is first and foremost your customer. All right. Well, you know what? Sometimes patients will come with family or with friends. Okay. When my children were little, I would take them to the pediatrician's office. Well, I was always with them. Well, my children was the patient, but me as their family member, their guardian, their provider, I was definitely their mouthpiece. And how they treated my daughter or my son was equally important to me as how they treated me, the parent, all right, or the guardian, okay? So when people go, especially I think about oncology patients, when they go, they're almost always going to have friends or family that are going to go with them to sit with them and to support them. If you've got someone or you know someone that's in a rehab facility or they're even in a nursing home, you know, we hear about some of the horror stories that goes on with a nursing home, okay? Well, you know, if I had a family member of mine that was in a nursing home and I would go visit them frequently, my mother or whomever, when I walked in, I wanted to see that everything is as it should be, okay? They're being served in every way possible, okay, to the best of their ability. All right, so you're not only dealing with the patient, but you're also dealing with their family and their friends, okay? The other one is you would call the physicians or other people that might refer business to you. My daughter is an orthodontic assistant. So how dentists and orthodontists work, that that's a close-knit community, okay? Because they are going to depend on referrals. An orthodontist is going to depend on the referrals of the dentist to send their students there for orthodontic care. If I go to the dentist because I have a toothache and they find out that I am going to need a root canal, all right, they're going to send me to a root canal specialist, okay? If those office people aren't communicating and they're not kind to one another and one doctor doesn't like another doctor, you can rest assured those patients are not going to be going to those practices. So it doesn't just have to be doctor relationship. It is also the relationship between the people within the offices, okay, who do their scheduling, who does their billing and coding. Because the dentist office is going to call the root canal specialist to set up the appointment for that person, okay? And if those people are not communicating or not kind with one another, it's going to get back to the doctor, the dentist, or whomever. And I can promise you there's going to be problems within that relationship. Patients coming in, the money that's going to come in is going to stop. And people are in business to make money. Let's just say it there. But the more business you get, the more money you make. So let's start with customer service. All right. So the next thing is your internal customers. You know what? And this is the one that I think tends to get forgotten a lot. So, for example, in my field of work, you are my customer. You, the student, are my customer. It is my job to treat you kindness, respect, fairness, not to be grumpy or sarcastic with you. I don't know, whatever else that an instructor could be to a student. That is not nice, if you will. It just all goes back to being nice, I think, and using your manners, if you will. And I try to do that. And so I try to lead by example when it comes to things like that. But within this school system, you are the customer of other people within this whole school. When you went through the admissions process, you were their customer. When you go through the registrars for whatever reason to apply for graduation, when that time comes, you are their customer. The business office, financial aid, all of these people you are their customer. And I would hope that they are treating you with respect as well, and kindness and not grumpy and all the rest of it. So, but the other thing is even if you remove the students, that I am also a customer of the admissions office. So if I call with a question, there's somebody on that line that I need an answer to, and they are going to have to talk to me, and I don't want to be, hello, what do you want? No, hi, how are you? What can I do for you? So in financial aid office, the same. The president's office, the same. No different. Okay. So you also have internal customers when you're working at an office. Okay. Your patients are going to be that, but you also have, for example, if you're in the front desk, greeting patients and getting their demographic information, and then you have a scheduler over there who is scheduling and this, that, and the other. You are going to have interactions with those people. In fact, the doctor that I go to, there's like 3 people sitting in a really small area. If they're not nice to one another, if they're not kind, if they're not showing empathy, um, it's going to affect the office and the way people work. And if you're being fussed at, not being happy, that's going to go across to the other customer, and that's going to be the patient. And then there's going to be a problem, or there's a snapping at the physician, or the office manager, the one that hired you and the one that can fire you. Okay, so there's more to it than just maintaining the job, though. And you have to understand you might not like the person that you're sitting next to, but they are your customer and you are theirs, and they should be treated likewise. All right. So all of your customers expect to be, expect and deserve high quality service, attention, and caring. And you know what? We might not even know necessarily what constitutes good customer service, what qualifies as high quality service. We might not be able to put a word to it, a name to it, but we can definitely know when we have not received it. And so will your customers. Will know when they have not received good customer service. All right, so this is going to be one of your assignments. And because it's just in a book that you write in, you can certainly write in it, but I have no way of seeing what you've written. So you're going to have to open Word documents and type this out and answer the questions. All right, so everything in this book pretty much is asking you to look at you. You don't need to be, you're not talking about your neighbor's ability. You're not talking about your boss's ability. You're not talking about my ability. We're talking about you. Okay? It's all about you, baby. All about you. All right. So what are your primary customers? Now, I realize some of you may already be working in a healthcare field. That is perfect and that is wonderful. However, some of you are not. Some of you may not even be employed. Okay? That doesn't mean you don't have customers. All right? I remember years ago, in between jobs, I was a stay-at-home mom. Well, guess who my customers were? My customers were my children. My customer was my husband. My customers were also my neighbors, other stay-at-home moms that I had relationships with. Yes, definitely. My customer was my mother would come once or twice a week to my house for lunch while she was working. She was my customer. And well, no, they're family. No, they were also kind of sort of my customer. All right. So even though you might range from working in healthcare to be a stay-at-home mom, or there are people that are your customers. All right. So what I would like for you to do, okay, this is going to be one of your assignments, and this will be the name of the assignment. Who are your primary customers? Okay. What I want you to do is to do this. It says in your everyday work, what are your most important customers and what do they expect from you? Right below your 3 most important customer groups and 2 of their key expectations of you. Expectations that affect their satisfaction in the job that we are doing. I want you to, if you are employed, I want you to use this based on your job, okay? If you are not employed, then I want you to find the highest level of outside of your family, okay? Again, when I was not working, my family was it. but I want you to find the customers in your life, okay? Again, I want you to do job first, okay? If you're employed, do it there, all right? And look for your customer groups and key expectations that they have of you, all right? And you know what they expect of you. We know what our expectations are. All right, so you will type this up just how it is listed in this book, and you will actually fill that out, okay? And you will submit it to the assignment link. All right? I'm going to stop here to keep this video from being so long, and I will pick up on another video to finish up this section because we're only on page 4 and we got to get through page 10. All right. Great to be here with y'all, and I look forward to seeing you next video. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.